Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I know, this is weird. I am currently on a work trip. I'm staying at my mom's for this work trip for the month of July. So this will be the new setup until I get back home. I think the biggest thing that is a great thing about moving back here, the co-host is back. The co-host is back. Yay. There we go. If you hear weird noises, just know it is because I am not in my element and we are just going to roll with it for this month of July, and I am determined to keep this going. That was a little bit too long, so let's get into today's story. Hi. Indian chiefs. They are some of the most admired leaders in North American history. But from my experience, I've only heard of male chiefs. Not all that surprising, but still. According to the National Tribal Chairmen's Association, there have been at least 29 women who led Indian tribes. However, most led smaller tribes. Though rare, women chiefs are awesome. Most because some were not only chiefs, they were warriors. Literally, woman chief is one of them. Let's get started. This is going to be interesting. Okay, we are good to go. Okay, how the heck do you pronounce her name? Biawashishish. I looked it up. I swear to God, that's how you pronounce her name. Or in English, woman chief was born to the Gross Venture tribe around 1806. I am way off. My cat's just cleaning herself on my lap. We're gonna go with this. The Gross Venture, also known as White Clay, was an Algonquian-speaking Native American tribe that is believed to have lived in the western Great Falls region of Montana nearly 3,000 years ago. They lived an agricultural lifestyle growing maize or corn. For the rest of this video, I'm going to be calling her Baya. We don't know much about her early childhood, but by the age of 10, Baya was taken prisoner by a raiding, and she's left. Baya was taken prisoner by a raiding party of the Crow tribe. If you are the tiniest bit familiar with Native American tribes, you've heard of the Crow. For those of you who haven't or just don't know much about them, Crow Indians are a plains tribe, meaning they lived in the Great Plains of America and the Canadian prairies. They speak the Crow language and Plains Indian Sign Language, or PISL. Before they were forced off their land, the Crows' territory stretched from the Yellowstone River Valley in present-day Wyoming through Montana into North Dakota, where it joined the Missouri River. They used mainly horses for transportation and were the largest owner of horse herds among the Plains Indians. Horses allowed the Crows to become more powerful and skilled mounted warriors. And if you look at them, it's freaking badass, man. And you can thank the tribes of the Great Plains for the traditional Native American clothes and famous eagle-feathered hairdresses widely known today. We don't know exactly when or really why, but Baya was adopted by a Crow warrior who raised her. At an early age, Baya showed a big interest in traditionally male activities. Her adopted father always encouraged her to pursue these primary male activities. Having lost his sons to either death or capture, I'm sure he was ecstatic about her being interested in horse riding and marksmanship. With her adopted father not holding her back, Baya became a great horse rider, markswoman, and had the ability to field dress a buffalo like no other. Baya was what is known today as a two-spirit, which basically is a term used by some Native American cultures to describe someone who adopts some combination of both genders. And if I got that wrong, I'm so sorry. Literally, just trying to decipher that took me 3 hours. In Baya's case, she wore typical female native clothing rather than adopting men's native clothing. When her adopted father died, Baya took leadership of his lodge, or teepee. Baya gained fame as a warrior during a raid done by the Blackfoot Confederacy on a fort that was sheltering Crow and white families. Reportedly, Baya fought off many attackers and played a big part in turning the raiders away. After the raid, Baya raised her own little army of warriors and hair everywhere. Elsa, stop it! If you knock this stuff down one more time, I swear to God. Anyway, after the raid, Baya raised her own little army of warriors and they raided the Blackfoot settlements. They took many horses and took off many scalps. Ick. For her accomplishments, she was accepted to represent her lodge as a batshit. Stop it! Come here, sit your butt down, and stay. For her accomplishments, she was accepted to represent her lodge as Batshit, or chief, in the Council of Chiefs, and she was given the name of Bawashichish, or woman chief. This is chaotic. I'm so sorry, y'all. Figuring things out as we go. Fast forward some time, she rose to the third rank among the council's 160 lodges. As she rose up, her prestige and wealth increased. Baya even married 4 wives. I know, this is fascinating. Following the 1851 Treaty of Fort Laramie that outlined the rights and responsibilities for both the natives and the U.S. government, Baya became involved in peace negotiations with other Upper Missouri tribes. And she successfully negotiated peace with the tribe she was born into, the Gross Venture. Western white visitors like Edwin Thomas Denning and Rudolph Kurtz met Baya and became fascinated with her, mostly because these men had never seen a woman like Baya. I mean, shoot, man. As we discussed in Pocahontas, you're white, you're from England, you see this, instant crush. So I have to assume that it was a fascinating and confusing feeling all at the same time. Oh, these poor guys going color. They mostly considered Baya as an exotic person among the masculine Crow and compared her to the Greek mythological Amazon warriors. They're all like, is she a mythical creature? And even called her Apsperoca Amazon. Now, for context, Asperoca is another name for the crow and translates to sparrowhawk. That's still pretty cool because, sparrowhawk Amazon? I mean, that's a pretty sick name. Now, though these white men's views are seen as biased now, they did give us much detail about Baya's life. Now, I do need to mention this part because A, this is a part of her story, and B, men really like to exaggerate details. So just shut up and listen. Supposedly, among the men that met Baya was a guy named James Beckworth. He was an emancipated American slave who became a fur trapper, rancher, explorer, scout, businessman, and author. All of the stuff. In 1825, James claims he was captured by the Crow while trapping on the border between the Crow, Cheyenne, and Blackfoot territories. Now, according to James, remember this, according to James, he was somehow mistaken for the lost son of a Crow chief. And so because of that, they thought that that lost son was him and admitted him into the nation. I don't know. Anyway, it is from this that he claims to have lived with the Crow people for the next several years. And from living with them, he met Baya. I know this is confusing. Stay with me. He wrote in his biography that while living with them that he met a Crow warrior named Bar-Chi-Am-Pi, or Pine Leaf, who is thought to be Baya in the 1820s. Stay with me. Pine Leaf is thought to be Baya because some details in James's book about Pine Leaf match Baya's. Now, this is where, personally, I don't buy this story. Though the life of Pine Leaf matches Baya's, some of the details are exaggerated to the point of fictional. Here's what I mean by that. This is, wow. James wrote that Baya was a formidable warrior who vowed to kill 100 enemies before she would marry. He goes on to claim that he had a romantic relationship with Baya and had even proposed marriage to her, and that after the proposal, James left the tribe for some time. When he returned, Pine Leaf finally agreed to marry him, and then he writes that the marriage lasted about 5 weeks because James went poof from the tribe and never saw Baya again. Whether this is true or not, it's not. Among many that challenged James's account was Bernard Vito, a Pulitzer Prize-winning historian, essayist, columnist, teacher, editor, and reviewer, wrote that James is reliable except in 3 areas: number, romance, and his own importance. Look, matching up timelines here, I think that this guy heard the John Smith and Pocahontas story by this point, and he wanted to live that life. I don't know if it's true. Baya just doesn't seem somebody who would just marry some dude because he kept pestering her over and over and over again, and she doesn't seem like somebody who vowed to kill 100 warriors before she married just because she wanted to. She doesn't seem like that vibe of a woman. I just think that he got too into the Pocahontas fantasy. After several years of peace between the Crow and the Gross Ventures, Baya was killed in an ambush by a Gross Ventures party near Fort Union in North Dakota in 1854 at the supposed age of 48. Okay, there you go. I know this was short, but I saw this photo and I was all like, ooh, who's that? And then I got more into her story about just her just being this freaking awesome warrior chick. And then I heard the story about this James Beckworth guy that I'm all like, I think we have a little bit of a Pocahontas fantasy going on here. If you learned something today, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And while you're down there, please leave a friendly comment. I'll be back next week in the same place, hopefully a lot less chaotic, next week with another video. And until then, don't be well behaved. You just might make herstory. See you next time, guys.